COVID-19, better known as coronavirus, has spread throughout the world. Symptoms of this respiratory disease may include fever, cough, and shortness of breath. These symptoms may show up 2 to 14 days after exposure. If you are experiencing these symptoms and have come into contact or are in an area with an ongoing outbreak, please call a hotline and/or consult with a physician. Clean and disinfect high-touch surfaces. For more information, please visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. Thank you.
Welcome to the Bee's Knees podcast. This is your host, PJ Ewing. Coronavirus edition, of course, but we will soldier on. And how appropriate soldiering on with a story of recovery from knee replacement from a soldier. This is a story of Dusty Baxley, and let me tell you a little bit about Dusty right now. Dusty is a retired U.S. Army Airborne Ranger, MPS-3G3 Operations Specialist. Since retiring, Dusty has dedicated his life, passion, and abilities to bringing relief, healing, and hope to our active duty veteran and transitioning military personnel experiencing PTSD, post-traumatic stress, common in service members. If you visit the webpage for this episode, you will find a couple of videos that are really interesting where Dusty explains what he does and gets into real nitty-gritty. We've got some extra videos on the webpage. But we also have this podcast and this very short interview with Dusty Baxley. Please stay safe. We'll talk again very soon.
Welcome to The Bee's Knees, a podcast full of articles, interviews, clinical studies, and advice about knee surgery, physical therapy, and life after knee surgery.
My name is Dusty Baxley. I'm a retired United States Army Airborne Ranger combat veteran. I currently work at a military veteran wellness center here in Bluemont, Virginia, and I recently went through a full right knee replacement, and I was very graciously extended the use of the X10 in my home for both pre-work and for recovery, and it was quite an eye-opening experience. So in the process of the right knee replacement and having the X10 in my home, I live rurally. I kind of live over the mountain, over the river, and through the woods, on acreage by myself or with my wife. And I have a demanding position, and I remember my boss asking me when I was going to have the knee replacement done and how long it would come back. And I said, I really don't know. This is a new experience for me. He said, well, the toughest guy I know, a SEAL, took about 2 months to recover. He said, so I don't expect you to come back to work at least for 2 months. And I was like, sure, got it, boss. And I knew that I had to be back after surgery 2.5 weeks later for our next Warrior Path program here, which is a life-saving program for combat veterans and their families. And so my boss kind of freaked out because 2.5 weeks later, he walked in on a Saturday and here I sat. And I was teaching a Warrior Path program, no walker, no cane, just moving around like I'd never had surgery. And he was quite surprised that I had recovered in literally 2.5 weeks from walking out of surgery. And it was interesting going through the process with the X10 because, again, living rural and not having access to the care that I would need, my wife works full-time. And so after surgery, I had, the luxury of having some in-home home therapy come to me for physical therapy. And it was interesting because the lady walked in, did an evaluation, said, I'll see you in a week. Came back out, looked at me, had me do a couple exercises, told me I was well ahead of the power curve, and basically called me the third time from the phone and just said, we're good to go. Don't need to see you. How's everything going? And I told her, she goes, yep, we're referring you now to outpatient physical therapy, which was interesting because I was referred to that and yet I hadn't been cleared to drive, according to my doctor. So when I showed up a few weeks later for my next doctor's appointment, he was like, so how's your outpatient PT going? And I said, I haven't attended one single session. You haven't cleared me to drive. And my wife works full time, so there was no way for me to access outpatient physical therapy. And so he put me through the normal drills and checked my extension and flexion and this type of thing, and he didn't know what to say. And I was like, what's going on? And he goes, how in the heck can you be at 130 degrees and 0 degrees and have this, and have, a recovery like I don't understand? And I'm like, dude, I don't know, except I just use this X10 and it helps me to regain that full motion and strengthens my leg on a daily basis. And yeah, it's not easy. but you have to put yourself through it, and the machine guides you through the entire process, reports to you, evaluates you. You have a beautiful therapist on the other end of the phone. You're taking pictures, you're reporting back, you're getting encouragement. And they actually hold you to it, because they'll call you up if you miss a session and go, can you get one in this afternoon? And at the end of the day, I was probably the guy that disappointed those people more than anybody, because I was a guy that was supposed to be doing it 3 times a day. I do it once, sometimes twice, and yet I recovered phenomenally fast, according to my doctor, who basically said, we need to write a medical journal about you because I've never seen a recovery like this. And so 2.5 weeks after surgery, I returned to work full time, and I've never skipped a beat or never missed a day. I'm back, I'm in the weight room, I'm in the gym, and I'm training on a regular basis. And I have full mobility in my knee. In fact, it's become my dominant knee and the stronger knee of the two. So I'm grateful for X10 and for having this service extended to me, because otherwise I would not have been able to recover and not have access to the care that I needed. I'd recommend it to anybody that's having a right knee replacement. In fact, I've already had several friends, and I've said, you guys need to get a hold of this X10 because you'll recover faster than you can ever believe.
We'd like to thank a few friends of the Bee's Knees podcast, including the Knee Pain Guru, natural solutions for chronic knee pain without drugs, shots, surgery, or painful physical therapy. For more info, visit thekneepainguru.com. We're also brought to you by X10 Therapy. And special thanks to Dr. Justin Trosclair at the podcast, A Doctor's Perspective Podcast.
If you plan to go to China for business or pleasure, the main thing that you have to master is the dinner culture. Things like the lazy Susan, should you drink, how to use chopsticks, where am I supposed to sit, gaining and losing face. I'm Dr. Justin Trosclair, and after 5 years of working in China, I took all my knowledge and wrote a book about it. You can find it at adoctorsperspective.net/Chinabook and on Amazon. And while you're at it, take a listen to the podcast, adoctorsperspective.net, where I interview doctors of all specialties, talk about successes, marketing, struggles, and all those types of topics you don't normally hear.
The Knee Store. If you're having a knee done, you just may want to share that news with the world. If so, we've got a mug, t-shirt, or awesome tote for that. Visit the Knee Store on cafepress.com. Shop for the perfect item that reflects your feelings about getting back to a full life after a successful knee replacement surgery. Visit cafepress.com/the Knee Store. Great prices, fun and unique stuff.
The Bee's Knees podcast comes to you from our studio in Lower Manhattan, New York City. We're here week in and week out, shedding light on all aspects of knee surgery and recovery. To reach us, send an email to thebeeskneespodcast@gmail.com.